So, it's no surprise that Sentry is insane for PvP. But let's cover all of the ground here so that we know exactly what we're dealing with, and you also have some idea of how to counter Sentry in PvP, especially timeline battle, when you run into him. Now, we're going to switch here. We don't want to use Silver Surfer, obviously, because it's a Sentry PvP video. But yeah, we're going to start off by showcasing some of his autoplay rotation. It's a very strong autoplay rotation. He goes through basically 4 out of his 5 skills. He does 2, he does 5, he does 4, he does 3. It really goes through everything. So I think he's a fantastic autoplay character. He might be better on auto than he is on manual. Really depends on how well you play that, as you know, and additionally what kind of build you have. But there's the first counter, and probably the most obvious counter to any well-built character, but in this case, a well-built Sentry is an even better built Sentry. So I don't want to, you know, be too obvious here, but that is one counter. And there is another counter, Reflect. So there you go. In just the first clip of this video, I've been able to show you fully on auto, right, with my hands away from the, you know, game, 2 ways to counter Sentry. Now, you know, the first one, again, maybe really obvious, but yeah, just build your own Sentry and just build him up better than other players' Sentries, and that gives you a good shot of countering him. If you can't do that, then you have a second step, which is Reflect. And Reflect, I think, is probably the cheapest one to achieve because it is obtainable through something as simple as like a level 72 or a level 80 Silver Surfer tier 3, with maybe Agent Venom support, for example, and Colossus, so you get even more of that damage reduction, but you can still cap out your Reflect because of the way that Reflect works as a multiplier of attack. Or you could try something even cheesier like Destroyer, because that is still an option. I don't think it's as good of an option, but we are going to test it in this video here because I am curious to see if it works. Beyond Reflect and a better Sentry, there aren't a lot of great options, I will say that. The one option I will mention that I still think is pretty good is a very, very strong character with immortality like Wolverine. And when I say strong, I mean you've built him to tier 4, of course. You have his artifact, of course. The immortality artifact is crucial. But then you've also built him offensively. I think a defensively built Wolverine is not going to be able to cut through the majority of Sentries out there. But one with an offensive build has probably the best shot. I don't know if it's a guarantee either, but I think he certainly has the best shot. Let's go ahead and take a look at how that fight, or a very similar fight, would have played out here. Using, instead of Silver Surfer, let's use Destroyer here, and we're gonna cycle through to find another team very similar to that one with Silver Surfer, Sentry, and something else, and then sure, why not, and then Thanos. I'm a bit torn right now with the current PvP meta whether to go for 3 offensive characters or whether to go for, is he gonna kill himself to Reflect? He does. Awesome. So what you would want to do from here, you'd want to preserve your Destroyer by switching out. And then, if your Sentry dies, your Destroyer can get at least 1 more kill, as long as he's not switching into like Thanos. If he's switching into Thanos, yeah, you're pretty much toast. But that does allow you a little bit of, you can basically get 2. You can guarantee 2 kills with Destroyer, who is easily the cheapest character in the, even close to the PvP meta these days. He's by far the cheapest character for that, and you know, you can get away with it with a very, I'll show you in a second here, a very average build. Now you can see here my Sentry's, you know, my Sentry almost lost that fight. So I said that Sentry is the first counter, like a better Sentry, but honestly I think Reflect is the best counter to Sentry, mainly because he does so much damage. He does so much damage, but at the beginning of the 5th skill, and if you switch out, right, if he kills someone at the beginning of the 5th skill, or in the middle of the 5th skill, and then you switch, then you can punish him because the 5th skill lasts so long and you have so much time to Reflect and do tons of damage. But if you're ready for this build for Destroyer, it's I mean, I know I'm ranked 243, but we have 1 Odin's Blessing. So to just illustrate here, I could give him 4 heal Odin's Blessings, so he would have way more HP. I could probably give him like an extra 20,000 HP, and then I could give him a bunch. I could give him, like, you know, at least 8 or more offensive Odin's Blessings with energy attack to scale his energy attack higher, because that's the way that Reflect works. It's always a percentage of attack. So this is up to 150% of max attack. So it doesn't matter how much damage Sentry is dealing to me. The maximum amount of damage I can deal is 59847 multiplied by 1.5. which is just under 90,000. 90,000 damage per hit is how much he can reflect. That's a lot of damage. So in this case, I don't need it, but if you had, less attack on your cards, if you had less attack on your swords, then for sure you would need to augment that with Odin's Blessings or something like that. We have rank 5 type enhancement, which I don't even know if this affects reflect numbers, but certainly doesn't matter against Sentry because he's universal. Doesn't matter against Silver Surfer either. Jean, most PvP metas, to be honest. We have Binary Power, which is an off-meta, ISO 8 set, but yeah, it is what it is. We do have a 6-star artifact, which is nice. I don't think it was really that relevant because it was healing him, but he wasn't close to death either. But here's the best part. It's a Mighty Patience. Yes. What the hell is this? It's not even rolled well. It's not rolled with the defend proc. It's rolled with an attack defense proc instead. Yeah, it's 4 seconds of reflect and invincibility instead of 5 seconds. This really could not be a more pedestrian version of a Mighty Patience, but he gets it done. So yeah, I do want to highlight reflect. I think it's really, really powerful against Sentry, and then again, I think a better built Sentry is the second counter to Sentry, and then the third one I think is a really well built Wolverine, and I'll try to showcase this here. Okay, we don't have a tier 4 on him. That's a problem, but yeah, I think Wolverine has. I want to say listen, I'm a big time Wolverine fan. No surprise there. So I am a little bit biased towards Wolverine, but I do think with the rise of these ultra PvP gods, Silver Surfer, Thanos, and now Sentry, I think Wolverine remains an option to kill some of these characters because of his ability to crank out an insane amount of burst damage. Now, if he pops his 5 here, this is what you want to do. Okay, well, that didn't work. But that's essentially what you're trying to do. And the nice thing about Wolverine is you're always going to get 2 cracks. You're always going to get 2 cracks with the 5th skill if you have the artifact, because you get 2 cracks. So there you go. He just killed Thanos, and then he just one-shotted. Okay, that was a tier 3 Sentry. I wasn't paying attention when I chose the enemy here, but... Oh, wow. He tanks it. Yeah, do 5, baby. There you go. So yeah, that's genuinely what I think. And so, yeah. Beyond those options, there probably are other options. I'm not saying that this video is an exhaustive list of all of the ways to counter Sentry, but I do think that these are the best ways and probably the most budget-friendly ways to do so, because it doesn't require you to build up a very specific... I don't like those ideas where it's not that any content creator is doing this, but just to put it out there, craft a whole team around countering one character. It's just not really going to work that way, right? You need something a little bit more robust. Okay. Let me see here against another tier 4 Sentry if we can sort of emulate the same sort of rules here, or the same sort of results. We're going to get him one-shotted. Wolverine's going to jump in. Hopefully he's going to pop 5. Okay, he's going to get his artifact probably procced before he pops 5. There's 5, and he gets the kill. Perfect. I don't actually think he procced my artifact. But yeah, with a defensive build, I don't think this would work. You can see here that, you just have to chew through all that damage. You just have to. Otherwise, you're just done. But he's not powerful enough. Let's be clear here. He's not going to be powerful enough to solo this whole team. I don't think he's powerful enough to... No. Okay. But yeah, there's the power of Reflect again. All right, let's see how he does against Silver Surfer. Okay. Yeah, he did take a lot of damage there, but he still did pretty well. And then against Thanos, I think Thanos can be... I think Thanos can hold his own against Sentry. I don't want to... That's a really cool screenshot. I don't want to call him a Sentry counter. That's a really cool screenshot. Holy shit. I don't want to call Thanos a Sentry counter. I don't think he is. And I don't really think Wolverine is specifically a Sentry counter. I just think Wolverine has a very good one-shot ability, which is his 5th skill, long iframe with penetration, and he just does a ton of damage and a ton of hits. Sort of like Adam Warlock. I think Wolverine is now like the new Adam Warlock in the sense of being like a one-shot character. But unlike Adam, Wolverine will guarantee you a certain amount of hits because he has the immortality passive. So Adam does guarantee you the second skill twice, right? Because he pops it the first time, you kill him, and then he pops it when he revives. But I find that Adam's second skill is just not as consistent anymore. And if you miss that initial burst of damage, the second skill is very short. Whereas Wolverine's is a long skill so it can chew through, you know, if there's a couple seconds left on invincibility proc or immortality or whatever, he can keep hitting you through that and then get to the damage at the end. But as far as how to build your Sentry, because it's obvious the Sentry is insanely good for PvP, and I thought rather than giving you guys clips of him being good in PvP, which is, again, fairly obvious, I think, to most players, he's everywhere now, even Tier 3. You don't have to Tier 4 him. Obviously, Tier 4 is going to be better, but Tier 3 is not bad at all. I did want to talk about build options for Sentry and give you guys the information that I've gleaned through, you know, my journey here to a rank 86 Sentry. So first up, we've got the Uru, or the Odin's Blessings. I think 4 heal Odin's Blessings are really important. I think you do want to jack up his HP. He has really good defenses, but you do want to get more HP on him, and then you just want to get a lot of attack. Mainly, you want to focus on attack. I wouldn't give him like 8 HP Urus. I would focus just more on energy attack Urus that are 6-star, or Odin's Blessings if you can. But I do think having as many Odins as possible, just like having as much attack as possible, is really going to be the difference maker for Sentry, not the defensive side of things, because I think he's already quite tanky on his own. I think Silver Surfer, or if you have him Tier 4, I think Silver Surfer or Wolverine are the best strikers for him as far as like popping in and doing damage, but that's sort of, can't really explain why. Obviously, Type Enhancement is good. I think Power Vanguard Hulk's a really good set. I've seen a lot of people talking about PvP sets for him, or sort of defensive sets for him. Again, I don't think defense is really his issue. His main issue is how to deal with Reflect, and unfortunately, you can't deal with Reflect through an ISO 8 set. You could try something like, you could try a defensive set like Tenacious Symbiote, or I think Spider Sense's defenses. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of the HP shield for him. Not a big fan of the heal, obviously, like the Groot, Stark backing kind of stuff. I don't think this really works. It would actually, sorry, it's Protect the Captain or Tenacious Symbiote. Spider Sense is something else. Oh no, Spider Sense is also defenses. Yeah, I mean, you could try out these different options, but personally, I would just go with an offensive like Power of Angry Hulk or Overdrive. But Power of Angry Hulk is better because it has 3 Chaotix instead of 2, so you get the extra HP. I'm not really sure how good a defensive set would be on him. Obviously, I haven't really tested it, but I haven't seen many good results from it compared to just going full offense. But it also depends on your build, because I think you do want some version of his artifacts for sure. I think it's a big buff here, increasing his damage to villains and then increasing his max HP. But then really it comes down to the CTP. I think this is going to be the difference maker for players. And obviously I know this is the most expensive option, so this is not attainable for every player. But if you can get your hands, I would say even on a Mighty Conquest, because they can roll pretty high. I think you can roll up to 60% Clash, which is basic damage increase, and you can roll up to 80% damage reduction. Now, this Mighty that I have that I'm showing you is 60 and 70. The wall effect down there is only 70. That one is 50 and 80. So I would sort of, you know, you can try out different things. You can re-roll these with obelisks, so they're not that bad to re-roll. You don't have to use CTPs to re-roll Mighties. But I would say, you know, aim for like, yeah, 60, 70 or 50, 50, 80 kind of thing. But I would say a Conquest is good, because that Clash effect is going to give you Reflect Immunity when it's activated, right? So for 5 seconds, with a Mighty, you have Reflect Immunity. And then if you can stack some extra concentration on your swords, if you, not on your cards, but if you can stack some extra concentration on your swords, like I have an extra 10% concentration here on my swords, you can get a little bit, you can charge it up even faster, right, to get a little bit more use out of it, get more procs out of the Clash effect. And I think if you don't go with a Conquest for whatever reason, I would go with a Greed. I would go with either a Mighty Greed or a Brilliant Greed. Again, Brilliant is obviously going to be better than Mighty, but I think Mighty can suffice. Again, it just depends on how invested you are in PvP and that sort of thing. Outside of those 2 options, because those are the only 2 options that give you Reflect Immunity, the Ambush proc being the second one and the Clash one being the first one, outside of those 2 options, I'm not like super happy or super excited. I can't fully recommend any other options. I think there are other options just because Sentry is so powerful. So you will have people disagreeing with me. You will have people saying, oh, he can work with a Brilliant Egg. He can work with a Brilliant Regen. Sure, he can work with a lot of options. And because he has super guard break immunity, right, because he basically can't get guard broken at all by any skills yet, you could even do something goofy like a Transcendence. Sure, you can do that, and that does decrease Reflect right? It decreases reflect when it triggers. Sure, you could do that. My advice on that, or my opinion on that, is that you can do whatever you want. You can build the character however you want, for sure. But with a character that's this expensive, I would go all in on building him. I don't think he's going to be replaced soon. You know, the power creep would have to be unholy for Sentry to be replaced soon. And I genuinely don't think they're going to do that. Just seeing the way that they've marketed him as a character, I think they're planning to really have him around for a long time. And so I think you're not going to really regret building him, whether it's with a mighty this or a brilliant that. So I would say, you know, kind of go for gold. But that's just my opinion, right? Obviously, if it were in my best interest, I would tell you guys, yeah, sure, slap a transcendent, slap an energy on Sentry to make my life easier in PvP. But no, I want you guys to have the best possible odds of winning if you're taking PvP seriously like that. So yeah, that's my take. That's my breakdown on Sentry. Counter him with Reflect. You can do it with even a budget-friendly option like this tin can, as usual. And hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.